Welcome to episode 22 of the Toronto Untilt Blue Jays podcast. I'm Steve Artabello. I'm on a road game today. I'm up at the cottage. I'm here with Theo Giordano and Anthony Harris. You can find us, Toronto Untilt. Of course, you can find our website, torontountilt.com. You can find our Twitter, @Toronto Untilt. And then, of course, our YouTube, Toronto Untilt, where this video will be posted. And then the audio version of the podcast, which I will post on Tuesday once I return from the cottage. That is Toronto on Tilt on Spotify, Google, Anchor, Apple, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. Me and Theo were pretty negative last week. We're welcoming Tony back, who is at the Jays game today, and we'll get to that. I'm not walking any of that back. I am still very excited that they made the moves they did. It's been a great week. But we'll talk about it. They just beat the hell out of a bad team, and they're about to play another bad team. We'll see what happens when, they start playing good teams again. But it was still super exciting to see this team, even with all the issues, push all in at the trade deadline. So I think we were talking about this before. We'll get right into the trades now, break that down before we get into our weekend review. And then once we get to the Sunday game, because Tony was there live, he'll kind of break down not just the game, but kind of the feeling in the dome. Not to mention we get to see Berrios, who was the biggest trade deadline acquisition. But I guess we should start with Brad Hand. Theo, Tony, do one of you guys want to take it? English, I can't speak, as I'm at the cottage. May have been drinking today.
Tony?
We were talking.
Yeah. I would say, we needed relievers, and we got Brad Hand for Riley Adams, which I think is fair, even though Brad Hand isn't the guy he used to be. He's definitely more of a Brad Hand, he used to be awesome. He's still fine. He's still a decent reliever. It's just we're not getting old prime Brad Hand, who was traded 5 years ago for every Cleveland
prospects.
Yeah. So so we're getting a good lefty reliever, which we only have Meza beforehand. Even though he's been good, you can always use more. So I'm excited. He's a guy that no one wanted to pay $10 million for. Remember when
Cleveland the Jays should have claimed him? Yeah, I think I was screaming about that on this podcast, that they should have claimed Brad Hand, and then he signed for basically what his option was, which made me even angrier that the Jays could have just claimed him and could have had him all year, because he had a great start to the season. I believe he's got 21 or 22 saves to this point. However, the last 3 weeks haven't been great for him. However, it's baseball, it's relievers, and Brad Hand doesn't throw in the upper 90s. He used to throw in the mid 90s, and now he doesn't throw as hard as he used to. So every once in a while, when you have a lefty that doesn't throw super hard, that can happen. However, he's a useful reliever. And Riley Adams, we were talking about this before, his ceiling is a backup catcher? It's not like the Jays have a ton of those. And they also have guys like Moreno, who look like the future. And you got guys like Kirk, who clearly has a bat. Theo, you were going to say something?
Well, it just ensures, too, that you're done with the Jeremy Beasleys of the world. You don't have to go to the well and, sign guys who don't exist. You have now depth in this pen where it's okay, they're not the best arms, not in the peak prime of their careers, but, this is, your sixth option now. This is a very good, option to have at that point in your bullpen. So there's, no downside to anything they did with this trade.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You can't, this was the perfect rental acquisition. Low acquisition cost, high upside. And worst case scenario, if he's not great, he ain't coming back. Can't get angry at this move. Yeah, exactly.
They just sent Taylor Saucedo. How do you say that? I always mess it up.
I think it's Saucedo because they call him Saucy, but
he's a guy who's pitching pretty decent for us.
Yeah,
his ERA's in the twos.
And that's an option now at AAA, and that's the guy that can come up in September. That if there is an injury, now you have some depth. Look at the bullpen right now. Rafael Dolis, who, by the way, in his last 7 appearances hasn't allowed a run, and he's got 7 Ks, and he's not walking the world. I think he's only got 4 walks. He's kind of working back in, and he's the guy that I think most fans would look at and be like, that's the guy I don't trust. And considering, he was trying to pitch through not being able to feel the baseball in his hand because this bullpen was so taxed.
Yeah.
He had that rough first appearance back against Boston where they were getting just pounded anyways, but he's been really good since then. And that's the guy I think most fans would point to as I don't know. So now they have 8 actual options in the bullpen. And we were talking about this before. Now they have all these different looks. right? You got Simber, the guy that comes from underneath. You got guys that throw in the mid-90s. Romano throws in the upper 90s. You got guys that throw curveballs, guys that throw sliders. You got a couple of lefties now. You got Meza throws hard as a lefty. Brad Hand doesn't throw as hard, but he's not a slop toss. Like, they have options finally. It's just nice.
You're going to be adding to that soon, like once with the 5-man rotation, if Stripling's back in there, if Pearson ends up making the jump and can help your
they keep saying he's going to be in the bullpen, that they want him in the bullpen and they expect him to be throwing 100 out of the pen. That's you can't like that. You can't talk about you can't underestimate how important that would be and how much of an asset that could be to this bullpen, because it's another look. Now we have a pair of high velocity righties. So it's just everything they did made a lot of sense for now. And then when we get to the Berrios move, that was also this year and next year. That was a bit of we need him now, and we actually need him even more next year. Do you want to get right into the Berrios one, or should we talk about Soria or any of those guys?
We kind of covered it with Soria kind of included.
Soria, a couple prospects to be named later. A nice arm to add. Same kind of thing with Brad Hand. He's a guy who's closed before. He's a veteran. I believe he's 37 years old. He's not throwing poo. He's not throwing in the 80s. He's still throwing in the mid-90s. He's not throwing high 90s. But, hey, here's a guy with closing experience who's been good this year. You know what I mean? It's just another veteran arm. So, yeah, exactly. But the big one, the big move was Jose Berrios. And the price was steep. Austin Martin, we all believed, was untouchable. Simeon Woods Richardson, there was a lot of hype coming into the season about him. Theo, do you want to get first off about the people complaining?
I want to shit all over this Jays Twitter. These fucking people have decided to complain about this trade after years of complaining about the Jays' inactivity. We said before this, do something that's going to help the team this year and next year. The Jays went out, not only did that, I think did it like not even at a price that's an overpay, considering what the prospects that we gave away are doing this year. So the fact that you can complain about this when we're getting a starter who's going to be on our team for 2 years and is one of the most consistent in baseball, like you cannot complain about it.
And like he's not a superstar guy. He's good. I agree. I like it too. He's a very good pitcher. And we traded big name prospects as we just got Simeon Richardson from Stroman, the Stroman trade, and we just Austin Martin last year. We drafted him. So those are names that every Blue Jay fan knows that.
Exactly. They're gone. And here's the thing. I was one of the guys saying during the thing, like, Austin Martin's untouchable. I'm not part of the organization, and I'm not going to be the first one to just start hammering on prospects once they get traded and be like, oh, yeah, that guy's not actually good now that he's not part of the organization. I have a lot of belief in Austin Martin, but I don't watch him every day. And to be honest, he hasn't produced the power that everyone thought he would have. Now, again, I don't see him every day, so I can't make the assessment whether or not that's a mechanical thing, that's a young guy adjusting to upper league, like the best pitching he's literally ever faced in his life. There could be other reasons for it. You know what I mean? But I trust this organization to evaluate prospects. Like, look at the guys that they bring in. Look at the guys that are in the big leagues right now. I mean, Vladdy's an Anthopoulos holdover, but the rest of this team, this is Shapiro and Atkins. These are their guys. These are the guys that they drafted, brought into the system, and developed. I've consistently said they've been good at that. So I can't now turn around and first of all, when I was begging for them to make moves, I can't now freak out and be like, well, you made moves, but it cost too much. Like, that's stupid.
Like any trade of where you're getting a guy that good, it's going to cost a bit. It's going to cost something.
It's been this year. Like, there's not many starting pitching that's like of his caliber that you can get.
Yeah, especially pitching.
And it doesn't sound like Scherzer was an option because he was vetoing everything that wasn't the West Coast. Yeah. He had 10-5 rights. And the Dodgers, in order to get him, had to also trade for Trey Turner and give up two. Like, I think Kuiper Ruiz and Josiah Gray were their 1 and 2 prospects. I know it's at least 1 and 3. Like, it was something insane. But they got Trey Turner. So
I don't know how that happened. I think the Nationals kind of messed. I don't know why they threw him into that.
The Trey Turner thing made no sense to me.
Like if that was just for Scherzer, honestly, I would have been whatever.
I feel like that was because there was a lot of talk that they were going to extend him, and I have a feeling that they might have realized that he kind of looked at that roster and went, "You guys got Juan Soto and not a lot else. I might have to."
I feel like another team could have just beat that. I don't know. Just for Trey Turner on his own.
Yeah. Well, apparently part of the deal was they didn't want to take back Hosmer as part of that Padres offer, because the Padres were apparently offering something like Hassel, who's a guy they just took this year who looks really, really good.
He's their best guy,
Christian
right?
Yelich. Yeah. Well, I think they have other guys that are technically above him, but he's rising rapidly because he was just drafted. Like, he was drafted at the same time as Austin Martin.
Yeah. But that's the thing with Austin Martin being traded. That's something that clicked with me. It's like, if our team, like you were saying, it's great with developing prospects. If we're trading Austin Martin, they know that he's just not going to get to that ceiling that everyone kind of expects. Plus, our system is so deep with.
They have other guys who are hitting better right now. Who have
look at Orelvis, who's younger. Yeah. They clearly like Jordan Groshans a lot, even with the injuries. They clearly like Samad Taylor a lot, who's got an OPS over 1,000. Right? Like, they have a bunch of guys. Orelvis Martinez, I mean, this kid is hitting a dinger every single day now. They have guys. Not to mention, you got Kevin Smith, who's almost at the big league level, who's having the Kevin Biggio type of breakout. And that could be another utility guy for them next year. So again, they paid a hefty price, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that these are bad prospects, because we came into this season thinking that Austin Martin was untouchable and Simeon Woods Richardson was one of their top arms. I will move on to Simeon Woods Richardson, and I will say that here's a guy that's for 95 plus that had plus command. And he got to AA, and now he can't throw 95. Now he's throwing 92 to 94, and he's got no command. That's terrifying. Austin Martin, again, I don't see him every day. I'm still high on him. I still think he could be an everyday guy, not just an everyday guy. Like you don't draft someone 5th overall and don't think that they're going to be a star. You know what I mean? But they got him in the system, and they clearly thought they value other guys. They had to give up something to get something. And then on top of that, Simeon Woods Richardson might be the guy that you're trading him at the top of his value. Because when you got him from the Mets, he kind of exploded, and this year hasn't been great.
And what did we talk about with these prospect pitchers? How I think I said it earlier, like, develop your hitters, trade for your pitchers, because we saw it with Pearson. Like, none of these guys, even no matter how sure you think they are, they're not sure at all, especially for pitching. So if you can develop an amazing elite offense like they have done and trade for, like, young arms who are already established, like, do that every time. Like, don't waste time with this.
That's why I was like, when the Stroman trade happened, that's why I wasn't excited about it at all. Because we're trading Simeon Wood Richardson is like 18 or whatever. He was so young, and he was like the headliner. We're like, this guy's going to be awesome. Like, that's far from a sure thing to me. We could have gotten definitely more sure thing prospects, and we traded our best pitcher with another year of control for that. Yeah, and here we are
now. Half of that return turns into Jose Berrios. So
we did get
you
something.
Still got Anthony Kay. I don't know what he's going to be, right? You still got a body, and now you use that asset to go acquire something you desperately needed. Because I mentioned this before, and we were talking about it before we started recording. Next year, the only starting pitcher on the roster. Now, granted, Manoah has been phenomenal. So you have Ryu and Manoah. Hopefully Pearson. Now you have Ryu, Manoah, Berrios. Hopefully Pearson, and Robbie Ray. We talked about how he might not. Here's the thing. We talked about how he might price himself out. I'm starting to get closer to you might have to give Robbie Ray all the money. Also, kind of the way that this roster's set up, where you're not paying the kids yet, where you might be able to afford to give Robbie Ray a contract, especially considering how good he's been. Like, he's been their ace. Just no doubt about it.
Is he going to be the top arm available in free agency?
I think so. Well, Scherzer, but in terms of in terms of a guy that's going to get a long-term deal, because I don't think Scherzer's signing more than a 1 or 2 year deal. I think Robbie Ray's the one who hits the biggest dollar. I mean, biggest total contract value. I think is going to be Robbie Ray for pitchers.
That's what also concerns me, because the Yankees will be in on that, and if I guess this is a conversation I guess for the offseason pod, because we're still in like playoff mode right now, but yeah, that definitely is a priority right now, like to get a Robbie Ray and to have a Berrios there as a little insurance to say, okay, at least you still got 2 really good arms in case you don't make that deal. So
I mean, the Yankees are gonna have to pay Gallo now.
Gallo's got 1 year of control, so they're gonna have to pay him probably a hefty sum in arbitration. Like Gallo hits a lot of home runs, and that's something that arbitration values. Like Gallo is getting over $10 million. He is.
For sure.
Like look at Bryce Harper. The last year that Bryce Harper contract was $23 million, and the Nats gave it to him because they didn't want to go to ARB because they knew they were going to basically pay that. But Gallo is going to be over $10 million. His batting average, I don't know, because again, it's arbitration. They don't take OPS and slugging, and it's more the traditional stats, the counting stats. But if they look at his batting average, but then they go, oh yeah, by the way, you hit 50 dingers and drove in 100, he's going to get paid. So. Yeah. That's money they're going to have to spend. They also have guys on weird, like, again, I keep bringing up the Aaron Hicks contract because it's so stupid. Like, they still have guys on these weird contracts. And again, the Yankees aren't spending into the luxury tax because they're being cheap. It's just, they're in a weird spot as an organization where they give out massive contracts, but then at the same time don't want to be in the luxury tax.
Yeah.
Not my Yankees.
I just love laughing at the fact that they're doing these weird, like, because they had to move money out to go make the other moves they did. So they sold 2 relievers to go make the Rizzo and Gallo move. Now, granted, they didn't really give up very much. It sounded like in terms of prospect capital, it was a bunch of mid-level prospects. So maybe they turn into something.
Like, I was upset when we didn't get Gallo when I saw what they traded, and that's when I was really down in the dumps. I was like, we're not doing anything, because I thought Berrios was just off the table. I'm like, we would never trade Austin Martin.
Anthony, you have to understand, we signed Ryu. That was the second highest paid pitcher that offseason. We traded now for Berrios. Like, you have to now understand.
Gave $150 million to George Springer. Like, they're doing all the things they said they would that honestly we didn't believe because we said show us. And now they're doing it. Like, now they've, like, here's the thing. If you're at the point now where you're screaming about Shatkins and prospects, like, you don't watch baseball. I'm sorry, you don't watch baseball. Because if you were screaming that they hoarded their prospects and now you're screaming that they're trading too many prospects, go fuck yourself. I don't know. Go play the show. Hoard your prospect. Like, you know what I mean? Go start your own franchise because you can't have
your automatic trade mode on franchise.
Exactly. Like,
where you can trade your lowest prospects for Joey Gallo.
We had the same conversation when AA did this, or people did, not us, but they were saying how all these guys are just, none of them turned to be shit.
Like,
think about it. Jeff Hoffman was the one we were most worried about, and Matthew Boyd's had the best career out of all of the prospects fired out of the system.
And he had a good year and a half.
Exactly. Like, he hasn't even been great. He's been an all right arm. Yeah. You know what I mean? At best, he's a number 3. At worst, he's still a 5. But that's the best thing you gave up. And look what David Price got you. I'm pretty sure every Blue Jay fan would make that trade 10 out of 10. To get that
for those fans that didn't like this, get ready. It's going to happen again. At least one more time in the next year. These things are going to keep happening.
They are proving exactly that this team is now, like, that Berrios trade, again, even if they don't make the playoffs, the aggression of that, because again, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I'm not walking back all the shit I said about this not being a playoff team unless they made a billion moves. They made good moves that are going to help this team. But in 2015, because everyone keeps comparing it to it, that we have a better run differential and the Jays have a better record than they did in 2015, and all the teams above them also have better records. It's not like there's more teams to jump. It's going to be more difficult. This is not easy. They got to win at least 60% of their games to be a 90-win team. Scott MacArthur tweeted that out earlier. This isn't going to be easy. But the fact that this front office actually, because again, I'm not walking back what I said last week. What I looked at last week was a team that couldn't beat good teams. And you know what this team did this week? They beat the hell out of a bad team. So we'll see when they start playing good teams again. But the fact that the front office pushed the chips in this manner, traded big names to bring in a big name, as a fan of the team, how can you be angry at that? That's kind of what it comes down to.
I love that more than Jose. Like, Jose Berrios is good, but I just love the fact they put the chips in more so than what they got back. This shows tells me where the team is at 100%, and I'm all for it.
And at this point, everything that this team said, everything that Shapiro and Atkins said they would do when they thought this team could win, they now, after that trade, They've done it. They've spent big money on free agents. They've traded big prospects to get guys here that they need. They're doing what we asked them to do. They are proving that they didn't lie about that. As a fan, you can't really ask for more. You got a young, exciting team. They're augmenting the young, exciting team. There are more prospects coming, and now this team's willing to throw money and prospects around to acquire talent. It's time to start getting excited. Even if this does go south this year, this team is building to something special. And as a fan, I really don't think there's much more you could ask for, honestly.
You can't. The team's trying to win. That's all you can ask for, really.
Yeah.
Getting good players.
Should we get negative again and start talking about this Red Sox series?
I was about to say, do you want to just get after this glowing review? Should we get into the game reviews? I guess Theo, you'll kick us off.
Tony's got the first one.
That's right. Tony's got the first one because Tony's got to bring us home on Sunday since he was our man in the dome. He's got to let us know.
We're keeping that to the end so everyone.
Oh hell yeah! Exactly. That's the tease. Just to let you know. Tony will let you know what it felt.
These guys went to radio school.
Yeah. Monday was Thomas Hatch, his return to the rotation, and the first inning was pretty good. He had 2 strikeouts. We're like, okay, this is pretty interesting, and then fell right off after that. He gave up 3 runs and his 3 2/3.
He had like that 40 pitch second. That was really where he got out of that inning, but he threw too many pitches and it kind of you knew the game wasn't going to go well at that point.
Yeah, it could have been a lot. They had the bases loaded and then the fielder's choice and kind of get out of it afterwards. But they took the lead in the 5th inning. Bo hit that 2-run home run, which really that was awesome. We were like, oh yeah, he crushed it, pimped it a little bit. It's like, cool. This is a statement right here. It was only the 5th inning, but it felt really good when it happened.
He's white hot, by the way. We haven't really.
Oh yeah. Bo has been ridiculous.
Yeah, but then Trevor
He's
Richards
swinging at everything and hitting everything. It's just this is the Bo Bichette we saw in the minors. But sorry, Tony.
Yeah, for the 8th inning, Trevor Richards, who's been so reliable for us, was not reliable in this day. He gave up a 2-run home run to Alex Verdugo. So they fell behind 5-4, and that was that. So a real heartbreaker. And of course, that was before the deadline, where our minds were not like we're going to be buyers. We're not going to be doing anything. We were really pissed off.
That actually just solidified the anger that me and Theo brought to the last podcast, because I was yelling about Thomas Hatch. Like, why are you going out of your way to make him a starter? Why is he this? Like, why are we doing this? Why are you doing all of this for a completely unproven commodity? And then that game happened, and I almost threw something through the TV.
Yeah, that was a really tough one.
I may have been typing sellers in our group chat more than once.
Maybe. Might have happened.
But we get to the next one. It was a little bit. It wasn't a bad series, but overall, we had that doubleheader after the rainout on Tuesday. Jays won 4-1 in Game 1. Robbie Ray made the start. Probably my favorite start from him this year because it was not his best, but he battled the entire time. 6 innings, just 1 earned run. The offense rewarded the gutsy effort with 4 runs of their own. Randall Grichuk, whenever you get down, Randall Grichuk figures out how to have a big day. He had 3 RBIs, including a home run. Springer tacked on a solo home run for some insurance. Romano was the only one who had to pitch in this game because of the 7-inning doubleheader rules, and he got the shutout in his inning, and the Jays were able to win Game
1. That was huge. Like you said, that was Robbie Ray coming back out at 90-plus pitches for that 6th inning to make sure that you only needed one more arm to finish that game. So in case you needed other guys in the second part of that's part of the reason I want to give Robbie Ray all the money. I'm sorry. I'm attached. It's just the way it is now. I'm attached. I don't know if it's the pants. I don't know if it's the grunting. I'm attached. I want Robbie Ray to be a Blue Jay for a long time because that was one of those things, especially coming off the heartbreaker. Seeing him do that, seeing him push forward. It was just one of those efforts where you're like, God, this team wants it. You know what I mean? Like, this guy wants it. This team wants it. And as much as I yell at Charlie for dumb things he does, Charlie let him go back out there. Charlie let him pitch because he's a workhorse, because he can handle it. They let that happen, and it worked out.
He's not raw stripling. He doesn't have to be like, all right, at 85 pitches, we got to really reassess everything. And another thing too, like in Boston, I know it's kind of not really analytical, but like just that moment when the bases are loaded early in the game, you're on a big losing streak. You need to win the game, and he just gives you everything he has there, and you gotta love the guy for that, and you gotta really respect his turnaround this year.
Oh God, he's been phenomenal. I mean, we've been singing his praises the entire season. This whole podcast, It's just been a very pro Robbie Ray podcast.
Yeah.
It's if you've been watching the games.
Taijuan Walker guys for a while, but we've all made the switch.
Oh, I'll raise the hand there that I definitely wanted Taijuan Walker, but they made the right choice. Again, this is once again me being like, I didn't agree, but y'all made the right choice, so I got a default.
Yeah.
All right. What game?
Do you want to get to the next one, Tony?
Yeah. Second one, Steven Matz and Tanner Huck. Is that how you say it? He was pitching.
Hawk. Yeah, it's
Hawk.
I think it's Hawk, but it's not like you were off by.
Yeah.
It could also be the Boston accent that made him Hawk instead of.
That's true.
Instead of Hawk.
Yeah, Hawk, whatever. He was lights out. Gave up 2 hits over his 4 innings, 7 Ks, only 1 walk. The offense was doing nothing. But Steven Matz right out the gate, not good. He gave up the runs in each of the first 2 innings. And then, of course, the 4th inning was the inside the park home run for Jarren Duran, who's a guy I'd say he looks very good in the uniform. I think that guy's going to be a problem.
He does. He definitely looks good in the uniform.
Speaking of very good in the uniform, we got to go off track. For Brandon Drury, what a week. What an absolute great week for that guy.
Yeah, superstars, I've always said. I've
Fire Brandon Drury into the sun.
Your guy always saying, Joe Panic, he's way better. No, he's not. Joe Panic's garbage. And he's garbage. His OPS is like 8. His OPS
No, you know who's better? Santiago Espinal.
See, that's something I understand. But, I mean, Brandon Drury, he's doing better than... Yeah, I'll get into Espinal on the Sunday game. I was very proud of him. But, anyways, inside the
Drury has had, I think it's these last, 10 games? Where Chris Drury, where Brandon Drury's had the best 10-game stretch of his entire career.
He's 10 for 12.
Magically happened.
Finally putting it together.
Like 4 home runs.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No, he's not Gio Urshela. I refuse to believe it. I refuse. Completely.
I'm glad
refuse.
He's doing it on the Mets and not the Yankees. I can support him still.
That's
okay.
True.
Yeah. So that inside the park home run basically ended the game. It was 4-1 was the final score, and
that was so crushing. That sucked.
Yeah. Springer made the error on that, and they could have got him at home too, but they didn't know where he was going to slide and put the glove right in the middle of the plate, and his 2 arms were around the glove. So
then there was also the Springer miss in center field. I don't think it was in this game. I think it was actually in the game before that, like the missed play in center field where I was screaming about him stealing that base when he shouldn't have in the podcast before, and I was starting to get really angry at George Springer. Now I love him because him and Vladdy and the whole taping Vladdy to the chair, that was great.
By the way, I want to give a shout out. Kirby Sneed, feel good story. Guy made his debut. Very heartwarming situation. Good for him. That was a bad game, but that was a good moment. That he
some things, yeah.
Some things.
There every once in a while, like you see like stories like that where those guys get to make their debut. It's pretty nice. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, the game went to shit, but you got a little bit of positive in this one.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to
Thursday was
fantastic day.
Really just define the Blue Jays, how they run differential. Like we wonder how are they 100 games over in the run differential, but like barely not even a playoff spot. This is why. Jays won 13-1 in against the Red Sox on the Thursday game. Ryu made the start and was absolutely dominant. He worked around a few errors and only surrendered 2 hits over 6 innings of work. That was enough for the offense. They went off for 13 runs, including multi-hit days from Vladdy, Simeon, Teoscar, Espinal, McGuire. The lower leverage guys in the Jays' pen got some work in and didn't surrender a run. Perfect way for the Jays to end this road trip before coming home. And
it was necessary too. You had to split that series. You needed to win that series, but splitting the series was the bare minimum in order to not start tumbling down the standings, to give yourselves a chance coming into this light part of the schedule. And then, of course, the trade deadline happened, which we talked about at the beginning of the show.
Tony,
do you want to
fired up?
Do you want to
Friday? we came home finally. The Blue Jays were actually at their home stadium, the Rogers Center, and I know it just hits different, playing home. Yeah. Ross Stripling pitched. Teoscar set the tone in the second inning, hitting a no-doubt home run. Bat flip right off the bat, just a bomb. Scored another. George hit that double, driving in another run. They were up 3-0 in this game. Royals cut it a little bit, but then in the seventh, sorry, Bo hit a 2-run home run, put them up for good. They won 6-4. Ross was okay. He went 5 1/3, 2 earned, only 1 strikeout, which was pretty low for him. Dustin Lynch had a quality start. Romano got the save, gave up a run though, not his sharpest outing.
I feel like that's Lynch's best start of the season because he'd been bombed before that, but he's a top prospect that throws.
I think he had like one decent game, but against this, his last game he was lights out too.
Oh, okay. So he started like
8 shutout against Detroit start before.
That's the thing. Like Detroit's not a great team, but at the same time, he was a top prospect for a reason. Like Daniel Lynch is an uber talented left-handed pitcher, so it was going to happen. But the Jays still managed to get the win, and that's all that really matters.
And the home crowd went crazy. They were really loud.
Oh, it felt so good watching. I don't know. Everything about them being back just felt right. And I can't wait to be at a game myself just because I feel like that'll just feel right again. It'll feel like actual summer. You know what I mean? Being at the Dome.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I mean because you were there.
I'll get into it later. But and they wore the powder blue uniform, which is very interesting to me. That they went powder blue, not just Friday, but Saturday too. Both games against a blue uniform team. I don't know. Maybe that's just like where they're going.
They used to always go powder blue with the Flashback Friday when they used to have that.
What, in like 2007? Yeah.
I think they did it for a few years, didn't they?
They didn't do it for. I think it was a couple years, but it wasn't a long time. That was definitely in the Adam Lind or Aaron Hill,
John McDonald. Yeah.
Yep.
Forgettable time period.
Run through this Saturday one quickly.
Last real quick though, Manoah was absolutely
on Saturday.
Best outing his career. 7 innings, 2 hits. Jays won 4-0 behind that performance. Springer had his welcome to Toronto game.
What a way to introduce. I know it's game 2 in front of the home fans, but my God, how lead up. I'll let you. Sorry, that was exciting. I'm a little excited.
I got sidetracked there for a second. You go off what you were going off on.
Oh, I was just gonna say Springer hitting the leadoff dinger, then hitting another one his second time. It was everything you could have asked for.
He's a guy who, they were saying in the broadcast, he's just starting to feel like the season starting with the way he had to.
Because they put him back where he should have been always hitting. Also, yes, like you said, the injuries, but he's a leadoff guy who ambushes first pitches, and you saw that.
The former leadoff guy, Simeon, added some insurance RBI triple in the 6th inning. Penn nails again. We had Will Brookie struggled a little bit, and then Simper came, cleaned up the mess. He has been good. 4 strikeouts.
Been phenomenal. Not to mention you had the Vladdy, and I can't remember who tweeted this, but it was right. To see Semyon specifically do that with Vladdy, because Semyon had felt like the adult in the room this whole season. He felt like the button down. I'm going to keep these guys responsible. But to see even him letting loose, and you've already seen George Springer loves dancing with the boys in the dugout, but to see even Semyon getting involved and having some fun on the field with these guys, it felt good. And I know, again, I mentioned this already, they're shit pumping a bad team, but it was exciting. They're back in Toronto. They're beating the hell out of teams. They're doing fun things. Adam Simber's a strikeout pitcher. Didn't he have 4 Ks in it? It's 3 Ks in an inning. Yeah, 4 Ks in an inning and a third. It was he just came in and K'd everybody, throwing 89 from underneath. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was good.
I guess. Anything else before we get to the main event, Tony?
No, you guys covered Saturday pretty well. But yeah, Sunday, I've been waiting for this day for a very long time. As far as not going to a game for a while. When I bought the tickets, the day you were able to come out, the first day you were able to go, after I couldn't get Red Sox tickets, I said, well, let's get Royals tickets.
They're
so I ended up going.
Red Sox tickets now, eh?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get anything that day, but that's besides the point. I walked in. What was it? I walked in like 10 minutes before the game started. It was like 12:45. I walk in and it's closed. I walk in and I'm like, okay, dome's closed. But then I see them open it. I'm standing there on the concourse, gate 5, watching them open the dome. Couldn't have been happier. I was already excited to be there, but then they opened the dome. Just best day. Everything lined up my way. And I gotta say, it was a little emotional, a little bit. I didn't cry or anything, but it was like I'm not even like
That would have been a little.
I'm so happy to be at this point because of the health workers. I'm not even saying it like that. I'm just saying it's back where I like to be. This is where I go. This is what I do in the summer. I go to these games. It's like we're here. You know.
No, I feel you, Tony. Like that's definitely like I feel you with it being a little emotional because I mean, like I know you guys are like me. Like we've been going to games our entire life. Like that is summer.
We should give a background too, because we all went to school in Toronto area, and the 2 years we were there was the 2015, 2016 teams, and we went as much as possible, like multiple times a week. We'd skip class to go to games. Like it was like
that. Exactly. Like we basically became friends going to baseball games together. We were the group at school together who were super into sports, and the Jays were like they had made the Tulo trade, and it was super exciting. So obviously, like we all got tickets. Like we all ended up like we went to the playoffs. We got to see all these great things. It was amazing, and it's just like we had all kind of grown up watching the Jays. We'd all been in the Dome all summer, and then kind of as we all met, it became the place to go. Like literally every homestand. Not literally, but almost every homestand we were there somewhere in the 500 levels getting belligerent because we were college kids, you know.
Exactly. Kids, we were back.
You're kids. I'm the old man, but
as far as like going to the game, so like the process, like there's no vendors, like people coming down the aisles.
Yeah, how is the in-stadium experience like with all the restrictions?
Stadium, it's pretty not that different. People still lined up for food and stuff. There's like one vendor. There used to be so many. There's really just like one guy you'll see now. Okay. Everyone's sitting in the 100 and 200 level, which doesn't really make sense when you're talking about spacing people out. Everyone's still clustered.
That made no sense to me seeing that on TV where the upper dome, like I get it, like they're the better seats, but it's like in the spirit of distancing, what are we doing here? If we're gonna have 15,000, like doesn't that mean we could probably have more than 15,000 if we're gonna?
They don't trust the 500 level people like us to.
Yeah, I mean there was a good point. There was a very much 500 level person in my section, and he was having this guy is like button open in his shirt, like screaming at Justin Hernandez in right field. He yelled at him like, "I bet $100 you hit a home run today. Hit one out, please." Like he was just going nuts. Like he was. This guy was a wild.
I miss ballpark creatures. I miss them so much.
I don't even know if he came with anyone else. I thought he went by himself. I don't know who was with him.
He was definitely live betting every at bat on like Bet365 and just.
100%.
You see the guy who had his like jersey open, just giving the finger to the ump on TV.
That was awesome. Yeah. Oh man. Baseball was back in Toronto. Nature is healing.
Yeah, exactly. It was very nice to be there. But we had space. Like we were like right on the aisle, and then there was space around us, so it wasn't really cramped.
Tony's a guy who's like 6'6", so you'll complain about
Tony
space.
Needs space. Yeah, exactly. This is true.
Space. Yeah. Usually I'm okay. It's usually not that bad, but I had like there were people sitting in front of us, and then halfway through they just left. So I was able to just stick my legs over the seat and lie on top. That's what I do. But a few grievances that I had from this experience. First off, the 50-50. Before you used to be able to get 40 tickets for $20. Now you get 15 tickets for $20. I don't know why this happened.
COVID prices.
Garbage, if you ask me.
What's the price of the other tickets? Is it like match up or?
I don't remember, but it's like they're like promoting like the $100 one. You get, I don't know, like 200 tickets. I don't know, but I'm not paying that much.
Christ.
Like they're trying to get me to spend $100. Like I'm donating to charity.
50-50?
Okay? I'm going to go to the game. I'm going to donate to charity. That's what I do. And maybe I'll win. One day I'll win the 50-50 prize. But I got 15 tickets. And at the end of the game, I'm like waiting for them to reveal who wins. As part of the joy of the 50-50, the lottery, you have this window where you don't know if you're going to win or not. I wait, the 8th inning passes, and they just say buy more 50-50 tickets because they didn't reveal at the game who's going to win. They're not going to reveal till August 8th who's going to win each day.
Yeah, they're doing the rolling pots. Yeah.
Like I've been spending more on that because it just seems like it's always being advertised, and you just buy it at home.
See, I think that's part of the reason why they're hiking up the prices too, because they're like you can just buy them online and all this stuff. So I was disappointed. I'm like, man, there's no fun in that, you know. I have to wait until a whole week to find out, and I only have 15 tickets, so whatever.
But the biggest spent the money.
The biggest problem in all of it.
Watch Tony win the 50-50 now as he's complaining.
Quit this shit.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool. But, I mean, it's more exciting if I'm at the game.
The jackpots are massive now, though. They do them like once every couple of weeks, and the jackpots are like high six figures.
Well, the worst thing that happened today, and it's partly my fault, but not entirely my fault, was at the beer vendor in Gate 5. Okay, I went there, basically right when I got there, I bought a 50-50 ticket, and I bought drinks. No problem. Bought my 2 big Bud Lights, big cans, still $42 as usual, whatever. I go to the bathroom later and the whole mask thing, you need to have a mask on pretty much all the time, which is fine. But at the beginning, they were checking a lot. It was pretty annoying. But later on, you could kind of take it off, whatever. That guy I was telling you about had big issue. Like he got the girl's name.
That doesn't surprise me.
He had the girl's name. He's like, "Thanks, Janice. She's gonna check you out. Everybody, make sure you have your mask on." He was saying it to random people in the section. This guy was
definitely loaded.
Yeah, right off. This was the first inning. Like he was complaining like that. First inning.
Oh, he definitely showed up like already lit to the Jays game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, okay, I want to get another drink, kind of, so I have an excuse. It was like the 5th inning at this point. I want an excuse to have my mask off, basically. I go in line, the same vendor, but I'm in the other line in the vendor. So it's a different person I'm buying beer from. And this lady says, I see your ID, whatever. She sees my ID. It's expired, right? My license is expired.
I just renewed mine because of COVID. It expired in January.
Expired. The guy right next to her was like, no problem, whatever. Didn't even acknowledge it. The lady next to her is like, oh, this is expired.
It's COVID.
Like, you have another card? I'm like, because she's looking I'm looking at my card as my health card. I'm like, that's expired too. So,
but the thing is, here's the thing though. The cops don't even give you shit for that because of COVID.
You have a year grace period.
I know.
I've been to the like I had to go get a COVID test. I've like had other things. Like I've had a couple medical procedures, like nothing serious, but like standard shit. Like I've been in a hospital and I've had to show them my expired health card. We have leeway. So yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb.
She's like, I can't do anything with that. And I'm like, well, fuck you. I didn't say that, but I walked off. She said, thanks, have a good game.
I'm going to air you out to like 12 people on a podcast right now. Do you understand that? Is that what you said?
What?
You're going to air that guy out to like 12 people.
It was a woman.
Oh, sorry.
The guy hooked him up.
Like, yeah, I couldn't do anything.
Oh, God, now we're going to sound like the anti-woman podcast. That's not what I'm trying to do here.
Now that we're going to games, we're going to have at least one of these every week because Anthony's had so many problems at Jays games, and we're not going to get into them now because we can't.
I mean, that's whole. Well, that.
Oh, some of them though have been self-inflicted. I think we'll save the backpack story for another time because this podcast is already going pretty long. But yeah, there have been some good Tony Rogers Center security and Rogers Center employees stories that have been quite funny through the time.
But now I know what I'm doing on Tuesday. I'm going to go to Service Ontario. I got to get everything renewed for the next game I go to because they're the only people in the world that give me a hassle.
That is wild, though. That is pretty wild that they gave you a hassle when the rest of the country has been told they have a grace period because of COVID. Probably the rest of the world has a grace period.
Oh, and it's just like this person. Like I was in the next lane before, no problem. It's not like a stadium policy.
Do they check your ID for 50-50? I feel like they do.
No.
No?
You can buy them in kindergarten.
Be 18 at least, and they check. Okay.
No, they didn't check. They want you to buy. They want you to support charity.
I think you do have to be 18, but I think because it is a charity thing, I think that's the way around it, where it's not technically gambling, and I think they allow you to do it. Or they just don't check, and that's the gray area. They just don't check.
I think they'll check, like, I don't know, maybe if you win, but before that, they don't really care.
Sure. Do you want to get to the actual game, or there's any other stuff?
Oh yeah, there was a
stuff
game that
you wanna...
happened.
Well,
yeah.
here's the thing. Like, it is kind of important to wander through what it was like being back at the ballpark.
Yeah, it was
back at the ballpark for so long.
Yeah, so on the way there, you guys texted me and you're like, "Oh, Vlad's not playing," and I'm like,
Tony was upset. He was upset that he was going. However, he did get to see Jose Berrios his first game.
I did get to see Jose Berrios, and I was like, "That's cool." You know,
I think Theo has something to say.
You should be upset at the people from last year or 2 years ago who complained about them not playing Vladdy on a holiday Monday. So that's why
I completely forgot about that
today.
In the moment, I completely forgot about that, but whatever.
Also,
it's no big deal.
One also quick interruption. Anyone who they showed it on TV a bazillion times, and if you didn't see it, if you could see it on Instagram, George Springer and Teoscar taped Vladdy to the bench because he was supposed to have an actual day off. I was a little concerned considering how many times he said he wanted to play 162 that they were giving him today off, because I was like, oh God, is he hurt? But seeing that and seeing how playful he was and seeing him dancing around the dugout, it was pretty apparent that this was actually just an off day, and it was pretty hilarious that they taped him to the bench.
Yeah, I know. No, it's just he's fine. You know, he'll be back tomorrow, so that's all good. Jose, we were all excited first innings, but leadoff single, and pretty much everyone who came up that inning was crushing the ball. So it was like, oh, good, he got through the inning, gave a couple of hits, but they were all like hard hit balls. It was kind of like that the first couple innings. Carlos Santana almost hit a home run. He hit it to like the warning track, which is not that far from where I was in like right field. I was kind of close to that. But after that, he really settled in, gave up nothing at all. They were they weren't really chasing anything before. They were kind of just sitting fastball and hitting those. But then he started like doubling up on the sliders, and they were missing
that
them.
Slider is gross. Like, it is one of the better sliders in all of baseball, and it's kind of why he's basically a 2-pitch pitcher. Like, I know he's got a 4-seamer and a 2-seamer, and that's like, he does technically have more pitches, but he's really a fastball slider pitcher.
Yeah,
but when your slider is that good, it's possible to do that.
And even like Brad Keller had them way off balance to start the game. There were a lot of ugly swings in the first couple innings.
He had such a bad start that people look at his numbers and go, oh, like the team should tee off on him. But Brad Keller's been good in the past, and he's over a lot of what happened in that rough beginning to the season where it looked bad. Like, it looked like he completely forgot how to pitch. He was going like an inning, like a third of an inning and 2/3 and getting blown up, but he's kind of working back into being a usable starter. So
the last few timeouts, he's been pretty good. But the second time through, they were all over Brad Keller. Springer hit that double, which I thought was a home run off the bat, and he got thrown out at third base. That drove in the run. And then Semien came up. He crushed one. That was gone. What else happened after that? Yeah, just a lot of hard contact from pretty much everybody, except for BGO today. I was wearing the jersey, my BGO jersey today, my powder blue one.
BGO jersey?
Yeah.
You hate him.
No, I don't. My dad got it for me for Christmas because I didn't want a Vlad or Bo jersey because everyone would have one, and I'm also older than them, so I
didn't have any Brandon jerseys left.
No, that's what I would have picked if I could. And George wasn't on the team yet. I would have preferred a George one, but he wasn't on the team. So yeah, so BGO, he actually first couple at bats he was hitting hard contact. One line drive to left field, and then they had him shift, kind of got him the next time, and he walked. Oh, and shout out the Royals reliever. They walked 4 guys in a row with 2 outs in, like, I think it was the 5th inning. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Bottom of the order. They walked 4.
I was just about to say, what do you mean you've never? I've seen Tyler Chatwood do that. Who, by the way, can I just mention that the fact that Tyler Chatwood got DFA'd so they could put Berrios on the roster almost made it, not almost, it did make it better. And it was one of those like, man, even if Austin Martin's a star, the fact that I actually get to watch some DFA Tyler Chatwood just like warms the cockles of my heart.
Like getting rid of the bad and bringing in the good. That's exactly what happened.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, like even Lourdes walked in this inning.
Tony, we did that twice this year.
I know. Oh God, There was.
I don't know if I don't think I've seen that as like in person before. Okay. I don't think I have.
I don't know if both of them were with 2 outs, Theo, but I know they definitely did it once.
There was one that was.
No. I know for a fact that the Chatwood one was with. So happy he's gone. So happy he got fired into the sun.
And then Meza, they left in for a second inning. He was good the first inning, and then 2 outs to give up the home run to Edward Olivares, who he was a former Blue Jay.
Yeah,
right?
We traded him for. I was reading this earlier. I don't remember now. Fuck. Do you guys remember?
Let me Google it real quick.
I know we traded him. I forget which trade it was, but he had a no doubter. He crushed that one.
I don't remember.
But yeah, it was a fun game, fun atmosphere. People were into it. There was a pretty good wave going on, which I'm obviously not taking part in, but there was a legit wave in the 100, 200 levels. So credit to those people for caring about it. But yeah, I can't wait to go back.
The visual I have is you just being pissed in the 8th and 9th because of the 50-50, and you just complaining to anyone that'll listen.
I was more pissed about the beer thing. That took me out for an inning. But the 50-50 part, I'm just sitting there on the bottom of the 8th, and they just kind of flashed the number on the screen. I'm like, well, like the total money.
He was traded to the Padres. Please don't tell me he was the guy that they traded for Socrates Burrito.
No, I don't think it was.
No. Yeah, it was the Padres. Who do we get from the Padres?
Because the Padres traded the
Solarte.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're right. It was Yan Hervis because they traded Edward Olivares to the Padres for Yan Hervis, and then the Padres traded Olivares to the Royals for Trevor Rosenthal. That's how he ended up on the Royals.
Now
I just Googled it. It took me a little bit of time.
Yeah, definitely one of the worst guys we've had in the last few years who's played a ton of games. Solarte was garbage.
Didn't he only have like 3 good months?
Socrates Burrito was also garbage.
Well, he played for like a week.
Solarte got super hard off the start of the season with the Jays, and people got excited about him, and then he fell off the cliff.
Yeah, he provided nothing.
I'm pretty sure there was I'm pretty sure there was a point where Socrates Burrito, and Alan Hansen were all in the lineup together, and that was a dark time.
These teams were tough, man.
That was that 2008 season.
Curtis Granderson was like what I was most excited about. Like that's
he was great until again the wheels fell off because he was like 38 and he was
at least he's giving it back to the clubhouse. At least that was
that's true. Curtis Granderson, exactly. You knew he was like a good clubhouse guy. So.
Great clubhouse leader, charity, everything. So I wish I got his shirt. I don't know. I don't think I was able to find one or whatever, but that would be a cool one to have.
Hey, you never know. I mean, Fanatics sucks, but every once in a while, like when you're trying to buy players that have not been on the team for a while, you can get those jerseys for like $6. That's the only time Fanatics is useful. This is another rant that I probably shouldn't go on, considering they're a major sponsor for literally every sports team. But I mean, they've made jersey quality awful. You can't get you can't get proper jerseys anymore, and if you want to buy them, they cost $500, which is dumb. But anyways.
Yeah, a lot of different jerseys. A lot of Brett Lawry's today. I saw one Tulo outside. Saw some Russells. I saw David Price. Jersey.
Shit.
And who was it? I saw a few. Saw Kawasaki.
Those are always hilarious.
Yeah, there were a lot of old ones. Not a lot of only Bo and Vlad, the new guy, and some one or two BTOs. But yeah. That's what people were wearing at the game. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you guys wanted to get to for this week? Or should we wrap it up?
We got it all. We got the Cleveland.
I was going to say, so playing the Guardians, who aren't the Guardians yet, but then, and also the Guardians may be, not maybe, that name and URL is owned by another sports team in Cleveland, but the logo, Theo sent to the group text a Spiders logo, which is what Cleveland should have gone with, but they done fucked up. So what you gonna do? But yeah, no. So the coming series, I guess we'll talk about that. So they're about to play Cleveland. They have a 4-game set with Cleveland before the importance of playing the Red Sox again. And really at home now, finally. Yeah. And like I said, in the last podcast, the last time I'm going to touch on this team's got to beat good teams. There's no more excuses, and there's not enough time left. We already talked about the fact that they got to win 60% of their games to even win 90. And the way this is going with the rate, like, there's nothing that says that 90 wins gets you a playoff spot. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's at least kind of a marker where you can look at and be like, that should at least keep you in the race. You got to start beating teams like Boston. You have to beat Cleveland, but you got to start beating teams like Boston. It's just the way it is.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I guess that's it for this episode of the Toronto and Tilt Blue Jays podcast. As always, you can find us at our website, torontoandtilt.com. You can find our Twitter at Toronto on Tilt. You can find the video of this podcast on our YouTube, Toronto on Tilt. And of course, you can find the audio of this podcast, which I will post Tuesday afternoon once I get back from the cottage. I don't have a deer head in my normal house, but my uncle shot that, and it's now in this basement.
You should get one.
Maybe I'll take this one home.
Yeah.
But I'll post that on Tuesday, and you can find, obviously, our audio everywhere that you get podcasts. That's Spotify, Google, Apple, Anchor, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe. The Blue Jays are back. They did the things. We're getting excited, but they got to beat good teams. So,
yeah. Cheer me on in the 50-50 next Sunday. Maybe I'll tweet out my numbers. We'll see if I win.
All right.